Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome. As you can see, today I thought we'd play around and do things a little bit differently. Instead of watching me as I describe the energies of this new moon in Aquarius, I'm going to be leaving this chart up on the screen so that you can gaze upon the chart for the new moon. You may not know how to read a chart specifically, but you can still get a feel for the energies as you look at the geometry in the center of the chart. These are all the aspects that the planets are making to each other. As you begin to notice and are now able perhaps to identify some of the different signs and symbols and what they mean, the symbols for the planets, the symbols for the signs themselves. So allow yourself, as we're going through this video today, to begin to notice what you notice as you gaze upon this chart. I will reference different parts of the chart at different points in time so that you are able to perhaps understand or anticipate or locate. There we go. I knew I'd come up with the right word eventually, so that you are able to locate more easily different planets within the chart for those who are not familiar with the signs and symbols of the planets. I do recommend, if you really want to have fun with this, that you look up the signs and the symbols associated with the planets and the zodiac signs so that you are able to follow along a bit more easily. And more than that, just as I said, allow your intuition to play, allow your gaze to soften, allow yourself to feel the energies of the chart. As we move through this video today, I'm going to be doing the same thing, and I'm really looking forward to what happens when I'm able to discuss this full moon with you while I am gazing at the chart instead of myself. Not that, I don't mind that from time to time, but I think there's going to be a different energy that comes through as I am describing these energies to you while looking at the chart for the new moon. So without further ado, let's get going here. Now, as you can see, this new moon takes place at 9 degrees of Aquarius. And as this is a new moon, we have both the sun and the moon conjunct at 9 degrees of Aquarius. Now, you'll notice if you look at this chart and you find the place where Aquarius is located here, that the sun and the moon are not alone. And the sun and the moon, for those of you following along on the chart, are going to be found in this particular chart. They're in the 12th house. This has to do with the location, so it's not necessarily going to be for everyone. I like to use my location as New York, New York, because I am American and I feel like New York represents the energy of America. It's not necessarily our capital, but it probably should be, because it is what people think of when they think of the United States, at least in my personal opinion. So that's where you're seeing the chart as it is here, is for that particular location in the world. So don't worry so much about the houses, but you'll see here that we have the sun and the moon in that 12th house in this particular chart, but they're located on the left-hand side. And if you look on the left-hand side, you're going to notice there's a whole lot of other planets within the sign of Aquarius. Now, some of these are not planets per se. We have Ceres, the asteroid, as well as the part of Fortune, and Pallas Athena. And so the asteroids in the part of Fortune are in white here. But then you also see we have Pluto and Mercury at 1 and 2 degrees of Aquarius. They're in a pretty tight conjunction. It's not an exact conjunction anymore, as Mercury has moved on slightly. So it's a conjunction that's breaking up as Mercury begins to move further away from Pluto, but still very much in its prime. So we have that energy really influencing this new moon, as it's only a few degrees away. It's less than 10 degrees away, and we generally have a 10-degree orb with the sun and the moon. So the sun and the moon coming together, merging their energies, the masculine and the feminine, the conscious and the unconscious, right? Our drives, our emotions, our desires, as well as our sense of self and direction, our life force. So it's always powerful when the sun and moon come together. It's a beautiful instigating energy. Even though the new moon is also known as the dark moon, there is this beautiful energy that emerges from that when the sun and the moon come together. And the fact that they are being influenced by Pluto and Mercury here only intensifies the magnetism of this energy. This new moon is incredibly magnetic, and there is like an extra energy. New moons always, as we said, represent new beginnings, a brand new cycle. But this new moon in particular being the first new moon of 2025, and also therefore beginning the Chinese New Year, which is the year of the snake, the wood snake, I do believe. There's something extra special about this energy here. This is not only a new beginning, but it is absolutely a brand new timeline that we are stepping into and stepping onto here. And I'm checking to make sure that I am correct about the wood snake. Yes, I am. And the year of the wood snake begins with this new moon on the 29th of January and ends on February 17th. 16 or 17, 2026. The snake representing the energy of shedding our skin. It is a powerful symbol of regeneration. And how perfect that we have Pluto as part of this new moon, this first new moon of this year of the snake. Being that Pluto represents transformation and regeneration. So this theme of regeneration, this theme of initiating not just this brand new year, but this brand new timeline can really be felt here. The ruler of Aquarius is Uranus, and Uranus represents timelines. It represents that higher octave of Mercury of the mind. And we can see even within this new moon how Mercury is being lifted up to a higher form through his connection with Pluto. The fact that Mercury is on the other side of Pluto, having just come out of that conjunction, is really powerful because that means Mercury has already been initiated by Pluto. And this could have been an interesting experience for people. It's still, Mercury is still within that initiation period, I suppose we could say, right? But there's this possibility of what that has meant for us. Perhaps taking us deeper into the shadows within our mind so that something could come into greater focus, so that we could move through a fear, perhaps. In Aquarius energy, this could be a fear of releasing the old and stepping into the new, a fear of being ourselves, a fear of being seen, a fear of speaking our truth. And now, as we're moving out of that, there's a sense of empowerment. This is a very empowering new moon. In fact, the term that came to mind when I was looking at this chart was self-possessed. And as we get deeper into the chart, I will explain to you more about why that is. Self-possessed is actually what Virgo means. And we can see here we now have the South Node in Virgo. So if you go over to the upper right-hand side at about 2 o'clock, I believe 2 o'clock. It's been a long time since I've looked at a regular clock. You'll all have to let me know in the comments below whether I was accurate about that. We can see here how we have that South Node in Virgo conjunct Black Moon Lilith in Libra. And how that combination, that out of sign conjunction, is opposing this other stellium we have in the chart here within the sign of Pisces between Saturn, Venus, Neptune, and the North Node. And we've been talking quite a bit about this stellium and these energies between Venus and Saturn, Neptune and the North Node on this channel, particularly those of you who have been tuning into the live streams. So we know this is a powerful energy here. When you add into this the Aquarian energies, it's very much about that energy of having the courage to be who we are, to take off the mask, to stop people pleasing, catering to others, to have the strength and the courage to be how we truly are, and beyond being, to live that, to allow our lives to be a work of art that expresses the truth and the individuality that lives within us. That's what this new moon is inviting us to do. I believe I began to state before I got sidetracked here that Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius. And Uranus, who we can find at the very bottom of this chart here, or close to the very bottom here, still in an out of sign conjunction to the asteroid Sedna in Gemini. Uranus at 23 degrees of Taurus, who is stationing retrograde the day after this new moon, which means that Uranus is slowing down. And Uranus's energy during this new moon is almost at a complete stop. Contrary to what this might sound like, when Uranus or any planet's energy stops and stands still, it does not become less impactful. It actually becomes more impactful. So Uranus here, the ruler of this moon being the ruler of Aquarius, is really focusing his energy very powerfully upon this chart, upon some aspect or area of our psyche and of our world. And wherever you have this 23 degrees of Taurus or thereabouts in your chart, you're going to see where that energy is most focused for you, as well as the energy completely opposite. Spirit's drawing my attention to the opposite energy as well, which is what we might call the anti point. And in this chart, we're seeing how that is actually Juno in Scorpio, interestingly enough. So there absolutely are some relational themes here. We have Uranus conjunct Sedna, opposing Juno in Scorpio. We have Black Moon Lilith conjunct the South Node, opposing Venus conjunct Neptune, Saturn, and the North Node. And so there are power struggle themes here within relationship. We'll talk about Venus for a moment. Venus and Neptune, when they come together, they're very dreamy, they're very romantic, they're very idealistic. They really want to merge and meld into one another. Saturn here makes that a little bit more rigid. Saturn brings some boundaries in. But even more than that, what brings in those boundaries is that opposition to Black Moon Lilith conjunct the South Node. Conjunct the South Node, Black Moon Lilith and the South Node have been moving together for quite some time in and out of each other's periphery. And as they come together, they're assisting us in rewiring those old templates. We remember, I believe it was one of the eclipses from last year within the sign of Libra where we really saw this energy. I believe it was the eclipse that happened conjunct the supergalactic center at 2 degrees of Libra. So there was a big theme there within this energy. This energy of rewriting the relational templates. This energy that it was calling us to understand and identify where codependency existed within our relationships, where people pleasing, where it is that we lose ourselves in others, and urging us to find ourselves again, urging us to turn away from the outside gratification, to stop trying to fill that void with anything other than what was intended to exist within that space, which is our own self-love, self-appreciation, our own connection to spirit, to our own divinity. And here, calling back in this energy of self-possession. This is what Black Moon Lilith conjunct the South Node in Libra and Virgo. This is what that energy represents. Not giving the self away to another, not allowing another or the expectations of another or society as a whole to dictate how we live our lives, how we express ourselves. Yes, how we express our sexuality as well, our creativity in a larger sense, right? Our sexual energy is our creative energy. And Venus conjunct Neptune is a very creative energy as well. So taking control of our creations. And what is our greatest creation? Our greatest creation is our life. Take a moment to feel into that. Your greatest creation is your life. Look around you. That is your greatest creation. And if you are not satisfied with what you see, this new moon is telling you that you can recreate that. You have the power. Mercury conjunct Pluto, conjunct the sun and the moon, makes our words and our thoughts magnetic. So use that magnetism. We have Jupiter here in Gemini, still retrograde within the sign of Gemini, trining this new moon in an opposition to the great attractor. So what we would call the anti-point to the great attractor. It's a few degrees off, but the great attractor is vast. So I'm feeling that energy connected here. So this is an energy of magnetizing your voice, your words, your thoughts being magnetic. What are you magnetizing to you at this time? Are you magnetizing abundance, joy, bliss, connection, fulfillment? Or are you magnetizing more frustration, blockages? The choice is yours. This Jupiter retrograde in Gemini is expanding the energy of this moon, but it's also asking us to go within. It's asking us to look back over something, to revisit something that we may have overlooked, to see something from yet another perspective. It feels very much like the Hanged Man energy in the tarot. Something needs to be reworked within our minds, within our perception, and within our reality. Something needs to be shifted and changed in order to work better, in order to serve us better. Something may also need to be communicated here, whether to ourselves or to another. We're looking at the way that we communicate with each other, as well as the way we communicate with our own bodies and to the universe. So that may be an energy that comes into focus here. I'm also feeling the energy of delayed communications here. So this may mean that something that you had expected to receive communication on is taking more time than you might have realized. We have Mars still in retrograde. And you can see, if you look in the chart, you have Mars there at what I believe would be, 5 o'clock in that 6th house in this particular chart. Retrograde at 21 degrees of Cancer. Mars will continue moving until 17 degrees before stationing direct on the 23rd, and then retracing his way all the way back into Leo. Now Mars is trining this stellium in Pisces, Saturn, Venus, Neptune, North Node. He's also sextiling Uranus, who is sextiling this stellium in Pisces. So this is what's left, the remnants, if you will, of the planetary parade as far as the actual angles connecting them. And this is creating a shape or an aspect that people name different things. I know it as perhaps a mystic triangle. But it's a beautiful, beautiful connecting piece here. A very harmonious energy. With Mars in retrograde still, it is more an energy of considering, of being inspired, particularly with Uranus stationing direct as well. There is something shifting and changing. There is something being brought to the surface that wants to be seen in a new light, returning to that energy of seeing something differently. And there's a birthing process that is beginning. Although I do feel for some, the full birthing of whatever is in the creational stages right now may not occur until we experience Mars turning direct, or perhaps even completing his shadow period, which won't be until the 1st of May. And as Mars completes his shadow period, we will have Uranus returning to 26 degrees of Taurus, to that powerful conjunction with the star Algol in harmonious relationship to the North Node. That feels like a really powerful time for many. Right now, it feels like we are weaving the dream. And we're aligning the vibration. That's what this new moon is helping us do above all else, is align our vibration with the reality that we are seeking to create and cultivate. And it's breaking us free from any boxes that we have continued to place ourselves within. Our hang-ups, our insecurities, anything that prevents us from being who we uniquely are. You're going to have inspirations. You're going to have curiosities that are drawing you towards the next expression of your soul's light and energy, that are drawing you toward a fuller and more authentic expression of yourself, of your soul's light. This, as I'm viewing and feeling it right now, there's like an unfolding of the soul's blueprint. The cosmic fingerprint. I don't know where that's coming from, but that's what I'm hearing in my head. Something about the cosmic fingerprint. And think about the fingerprint. The fingerprint is unique. As humans, no two humans have the same fingerprint. In the same way, your energy signature is its own fingerprint, its own cosmic fingerprint. So it's like your unique energy signature, your unique cosmic fingerprint, activating and aligning. This new moon may feel invigorating to some. It may feel challenging to others. There may be still more purging that needs to happen. That full moon in Cancer was a big, big purge, and that was conjunct that Mars that we were just talking about. That was a trigger point. And Mars still may be a trigger point for some people, Spirit is saying. So pay attention to where Mars is in your chart, what Mars state may be continuing to stir up for you. Remember that our masculine energy is receiving a massive overhaul right now. And it is doing so by interacting with many different aspects of our feminine energy. As I was saying, that full moon in Cancer was a massive purge for many, as was the black moon, that second new moon of December. Now we're continuing to move through these initiations, and many people may still be in this process of purging, of releasing. It's going to come in waves as we continue to move through this process of ascension, this process of remembrance, forgetting who we are not and remembering who we are. It's like the reverse. And so, this is interesting what Spirit's bringing through right now. We talk about the inverted matrix. We've been living in the inverted matrix for a long time. As we are moving into the crystalline matrix, everything that was inverted or flipped upside down is now turning right side up. And so we're seeing this with the poles shifting. We're seeing this with our own energy systems beginning to shift and change. We're seeing this with so many different elements within our lives, within this construct, things flipping, things changing. As we move into the organic matrix, everything that was once inverted will flip. The lies being presented as truth will flip. The agreed upon version of reality will flip. Morals, values, ideals will flip. What we worship, what we hold as truth will flip. What has value and meaning to us will flip. Everything it's not flipping upside down because it was upside down before. It's righting itself. So interesting, that energy. And this is going to be a chaotic process for many. All the falsities, all the masks, all the versions of us that we had to put on, that we had to create in order to survive in this inverted world, those survival mechanisms are no longer going to be needed, although for a time it's going to feel as though they're needed more. And that's the trick. There's so much with this Neptune energy finishing out, completing these Piscean themes and energies, so much illusion to see through. And Saturn is here helping to stabilize us, helping to be that reality check, but not in the way necessarily that discourages us and kills our dreams, but in the way that helps us to see through the illusion, the Maya. The spell, we talked about this in the live stream the other day, the collective hypnosis is breaking. The collective spell is breaking. All of the not yous are giving way so that the true you can be born, can place its feet upon this beautiful earth for the first time and walk and dance freely. So continue to let go of everything that is not you and be open and curious to discover what is what. Because what we're going to find as we continue through this process is that some things that we really thought were us really aren't. And some things that we were deeply against or that we were very convinced were not us we might actually identify with, we might actually resonate with. Don't put yourself into a box, Spirit's saying. Allow yourself to be open. Simply go with what excites you, what feels good. Release the judgment of whether that is good or bad, right or wrong. Allow your body to tell you, you'll feel whether it's right or wrong for you. And that's all there really is. No right or wrong in the greater context, just whether it's right or wrong for you. Continue to align with what is right for you. Continue to release what is wrong for you. Continue to speak, to express in a way that is right for you. Consider this new moon your permission slip. What a beautiful, powerful energy. Because of all the relationship dynamics, energies, and tensions here, we may see a lot of these power struggles, these themes. The not self versus the self. The old identities that we're ready to shed, that other people may not be ready to let go of. Not their own identities, but the identities of us. The labels they've placed upon us, where they've put us on the shelves of their own mind, where they've filed us away. Some people may not be happy when we need to be refiled, reshelved, or when we refuse to sit on the shelf anymore at all. Don't be afraid to kick up some dust. Don't be afraid to ruffle some feathers. Know that the relationships that are meant to remain in this new energy, in this new timeline, in this new earth creation will remain. They will weather the storm. They will come out stronger. If it's for you, it will always be for you. Some things are for you for a time and then they cease to be. And that's okay too. Remember, everything is temporary and everything is infinite. All at once. I love you deeply. I honor you. I respect you. Each and every single one of you. Thank you for joining me for this video. Let me know down in the comments how you're feeling these energies of this new moon in Aquarius. Are you feeling liberated? Are you feeling excited? Are you feeling ready to go? Are you perhaps feeling more of that purging, releasing, more of that density coming up? It's okay. Whatever you're experiencing is perfect. Simply allow it to be. That's one of the lessons of 2025, to allow things to be, to release the resistance to what is. Remember, acceptance is the energy of alchemy. When we rail against something, we lock it in. When we accept it, we can release it, and it's free to change form. This is the year of metamorphosis. This is the year of changing form. Also, let me know how you're enjoying this format of video with the chart in the description or in the comments below as well. I'd like to know how it feels for you as you're looking at the chart while I'm describing these energies. I really enjoyed doing it this way. It allowed me to sort of sink deeper into the energies of the chart. So I may do this again if people are enjoying it for future astrological videos, particularly these moons, when we're discussing the new and the full moons. I love you infinitely.